Welcome to Healthy Aging Blueprint, your trusted space for simple, effective tips to help seniors live healthier, happier, and more meaningful lives. Whether you're stepping into retirement or supporting a parent or grandparent on their wellness journey, this channel is for you. Together, we'll explore real-life experiences, healthy daily habits, and a positive mindset to help you wake up each day with energy, joy, and purpose. Have you ever felt an itch that just wouldn't go away? What if that irritating sensation on your arms, legs, or scalp isn't just dry skin, but your body's quiet warning cry? And how many of us ignore these signs, thinking it's nothing, until it's far too late? You're not alone if you've chalked it up to aging. Maybe it feels like a minor itch on your forearm, or a tickling patch on your scalp that nags you when you're trying to sleep. You scratch and scratch, thinking it's probably just dry skin, and move on with your day. But what if, just what if, that persistent itch is actually your body's way of waving a red flag, alerting you to something far more serious beneath the surface? Something life-threatening, like cancer. As someone who spent 35 years as a nurse, standing beside patients during their most difficult moments, I've witnessed too many older adults dismiss these quiet, early symptoms. I've seen seniors wait too long, only to be confronted with diagnoses that could have been addressed earlier, if only they had listened. This video isn't just packed with helpful information. It's a heartfelt call to pay attention to what your body is trying to tell you. If you're over 60, I urge you to stay with me through every second. I'll walk you through 6 critical, itchy spots that may seem minor, but could actually be life-saving signals. More importantly, I'll show you how to check for them yourself, right at home. I'm Sarah Mitchell, a retired nurse who spent decades in oncology wards, holding the hands of both those beginning their recovery and those holding on for just one more day. And if there's one lesson I've learned over the years, it's this: cancer rarely arrives without a whisper. Your body always speaks, long before it screams. That itch you keep ignoring, it might be the whisper. I'll never forget the 72-year-old grandfather who brushed off his itchy calves, thinking it was just old skin, only to be diagnosed with lymphoma. Or the 67-year-old woman who blamed her itchy back on a worn-out mattress until it turned out to be pancreatic cancer. These aren't just stories. They're painful reminders that timing can mean everything. Itching isn't always harmless. And if you've noticed something that doesn't feel quite right, it's time to stop brushing it off. According to the Cancer Institute, nearly 40% of people over the age of 60 who are later diagnosed with cancer report experiencing unexplained itching before any other symptoms appear. That's almost half. And yet, the average senior waits about 5 months before seeking medical advice. Why? Because most don't realize this itching could be a sign of something far more serious. They often dismiss it as just another part of aging. Today, I want to make 2 important promises. First, I'll reveal 6 specific itchy spots that should never be ignored. Second, I'll walk you through simple at-home checks that could help you catch something early, before it becomes dangerous. But before we jump into the list, it's important to understand what makes certain types of itching more alarming. What separates an itch that's harmless from one that could be a red flag? While not every itch is a cause for concern, dangerous itching tends to come with 5 key characteristics. First, it feels deep, as if it's coming from beneath the skin, not just on the surface. Second, it lingers. It doesn't go away, and continues to bother you daily for 3 weeks or longer. Third, it intensifies at night, disrupting your rest and stealing your sleep. Fourth, it resists treatment. Creams, moisturizers, and even anti-itch lotions have no effect. And fifth, it tends to appear in one specific location, not spread all over the body. Even if the itch is mild, when it checks these boxes, it shouldn't be ignored. That's your body raising its voice, trying to tell you something is wrong. Now, let's go through the 6 itchy spots that may serve as warning signs, subtle but powerful signals that should prompt closer attention. Before we begin, I'd like to ask a small favor. If you find this video helpful, it would mean a lot if you subscribed and turned on notifications so you don't miss future content. And if you're watching right now, let me know what you think. Comment the number 1 if you like it, or 0 if you don't, so I can keep improving for you. Let's get into the first itchy spot, the calves. Calves that itch at night could be an early warning sign of lymphoma. Imagine settling into bed, your body ready to rest, and suddenly you're hit with an intense, burning itch deep in your calves. It keeps you awake, tossing and turning, desperate for relief that never comes. You scratch and scratch, but the sensation doesn't go away. It seems to burrow deeper, almost as if your nerves are on edge, staging a revolt beneath your skin. That's exactly how it felt for 74-year-old Margaret, a retired schoolteacher from a quiet town in Ohio. For nearly 2 months, this was her reality every single night. I'd wake up around 2 a.m. with this terrible deep itch in my calves. It felt like something was crawling under my skin, she explained during a medical consultation. I would scratch until my skin broke open, raw and bleeding, with red welts that stung for hours afterward. At first, Margaret blamed everything but her body. New socks, the cold, dry winter air, even her old mattress. Convinced it was something minor, she tried every remedy she could find in her medicine cabinet. Moisturizing lotions, antihistamine creams, soothing oatmeal baths. But nothing brought relief. The itch kept returning, always in the same 2 spots on her lower legs, night after night. Finally, after weeks of frustration and no improvement, Margaret made an appointment with her primary care doctor. Her physician ordered a series of tests, including blood work and a lymph node biopsy. The diagnosis that came back was completely unexpected: early-stage Hodgkin's lymphoma, a cancer affecting the lymphatic system. According to a 2023 study published by the American Society of Hematology, nearly 30% of patients diagnosed with lymphoma experience localized itching as one of their first symptoms. For many, the lower legs are especially common trouble spots. This is particularly true in cases of Hodgkin's lymphoma, where cancerous cells within the lymph nodes cause the immune system to become overstimulated. As a result, the body begins releasing large amounts of inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. These chemicals enter the bloodstream and irritate nerve endings, especially in sensitive areas like the calves, where nerve density is higher. That's what creates the deep, gnawing itch that doesn't respond to typical creams or treatments. It's not a surface itch like eczema. It feels different, deeper, more intense, and much harder to ignore. Unlike allergies or dry skin, the itching associated with lymphoma behaves very differently. It often intensifies during the night, robbing you of sleep and refusing to respond to typical over-the-counter remedies. In some cases, patients have described the sensation as a strange crawling or burning feeling that seems to come from deep beneath the skin, not something you can easily scratch away. Margaret's story serves as a powerful reminder of just how easy it is to dismiss serious warning signs. I kept telling myself it was nothing, just a nuisance, she admitted, her voice carrying the weight of hindsight. I wish I'd listened to my instincts and gone to the doctor sooner. Medical experts, especially oncologists, emphasize that persistent, localized itching, particularly in the calves, should raise red flags if it continues for more than 2 weeks. This is especially concerning when accompanied by other symptoms like unusual fatigue, unexplained weight loss, night sweats, or swollen lymph nodes. These signs, when combined, point to the need for immediate medical evaluation. The diagnostic process typically begins with a complete blood count, CBC, to identify any abnormalities in the blood. If concerns remain, doctors often proceed with imaging tests, such as CT scans or PET scans, to look more closely at the lymphatic system. In many cases, a biopsy of a lymph node is necessary to confirm a diagnosis of lymphoma. For anyone experiencing similar symptoms, experts strongly recommend keeping a symptom journal. By tracking the location, severity, and timing of the itch, You can give your doctor a clearer picture of what's happening. If the itching is limited to specific areas on the calves, feels unusually deep, shows up mostly at night, and persists despite all attempts at treatment, it's a clear signal that you should seek medical advice. Margaret was fortunate. Her cancer was discovered early enough that treatment could begin right away, greatly improving her outcome. "I'm so grateful I didn't wait any longer," she reflected. If you're dealing with persistent, unexplained itching on your calves that refuses to go away, don't put it off. Talk to your doctor. Your health may depend on it. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, I'd love to know. Just drop the number 1 in the comments below to let me know you're still here with me. Thank you for giving your time to something that could truly make a difference. Now, let's move on to the second warning sign. Itching on the back, specifically between the shoulder blades. This might seem like such a small thing, but for some, it becomes a clue to something far more serious, like pancreatic cancer. Imagine lying in bed, trying to rest, when a stubborn itch strikes in that one impossible-to-reach spot right between your shoulder blades. You stretch, twist, even reach for objects to scratch it, but nothing brings relief. It's not a general itch. It's concentrated, maddening, and strangely persistent. That was the case for Susan, a 69-year-old librarian from a peaceful suburb in Colorado. What started as a minor nuisance became something she couldn't ignore. It was always in the same place, like a coin-sized patch on my upper back that never went away, she shared during a follow-up visit. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, desperate for relief, using anything I could find. A ruler, a brush, even a wooden spoon. Susan tried to figure it out on her own. She switched her laundry detergent, bought soft cotton clothing, and even changed her office chair. She chalked it up to irritation, or maybe posture. "I felt silly bringing it up to anyone," she admitted. "It just didn't seem important enough." But months passed, and the itch remained. Then came the subtler symptoms. Fatigue that didn't go away, a slight yellowing in her skin, and occasional digestive discomfort that she couldn't explain. That's when she finally saw a doctor. A full workup was ordered, including an abdominal ultrasound and a CT scan. The result was shocking: a pancreatic tumor. Her world changed in an instant. According to the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, up to 20% of people diagnosed with pancreatic cancer report experiencing localized itching, often in the upper back, as one of the earliest signs. In some cases, this symptom can appear months before any of the more well-known red flags. In some cases, this kind of itching appears long before the more obvious signs of pancreatic cancer, such as abdominal pain, significant weight loss, or jaundice. What causes it? The root of the problem lies in how a tumor can interfere with the bile ducts. These narrow tubes are responsible for transporting bile from the liver to the intestines, where it helps break down food. But when a tumor presses against or blocks these ducts, bile acids can build up in the bloodstream. Once bile accumulates, it begins to irritate nerve endings throughout the body, triggering an intense itching sensation that seems to come from within. And interestingly, the upper back, especially between the shoulder blades, is a common site for this referred itch. Why there? Because the nerves from your abdominal organs and your spinal nerves in the upper back share common neural pathways. So even though the tumor is in the pancreas, the itch is felt elsewhere. This isn't the type of itch you can scratch away. It's deep, persistent, and uniquely frustrating. It doesn't feel like the irritation caused by a rash or allergy. Patients often describe it as something that gnaws from the inside, and it tends to become even worse at night, making it difficult to relax or sleep. Susan's experience sheds light on just how stealthy pancreatic cancer can be. "I ignored it for so long because it seemed like such a small thing," she reflected, her voice tinged with regret. "If I had gone to the doctor sooner, maybe they could have caught it before it spread." Her words echo what many medical professionals emphasize. When an itch is confined to a specific spot on the upper back, doesn't respond to steroid creams, antihistamines, or other topical treatments. and continues for weeks. It shouldn't be brushed off. Experts warn that this type of persistent itching, particularly when paired with other subtle symptoms, such as yellowing of the skin or eyes, jaundice, dark urine, pale-colored stools, or unexplained weight loss, should prompt immediate evaluation. Diagnostic testing may include blood work to check liver and pancreatic enzymes, imaging tests like MRIs or endoscopic ultrasounds, and a referral to a specialist such as a gastroenterologist or oncologist. Susan's diagnosis, while heartbreaking, came at a point where treatment was still a viable option. "I'm fighting now, and that's what matters," she said with determination. Her experience serves as a reminder that time matters, and early action can mean the difference between hope and despair. To catch serious health issues like hers before they advance, medical experts urge everyone, especially those over 60, to pay close attention to itching that doesn't have a clear cause. If you're noticing a persistent itch that won't go away, especially if it's concentrated in a specific area and accompanied by other bodily changes, don't ignore it. A deep, unreachable itch between the shoulder blades, especially one that disturbs your sleep or starts to interfere with your daily comfort, is not something to dismiss as trivial. It may seem minor, but symptoms like these could be your body's way of flagging something far more serious. If you're dealing with this kind of persistent itching, schedule a medical checkup and rule out conditions like pancreatic cancer. Trust your instincts. Your body often speaks in whispers long before it screams. Now, let's turn to another location where a mysterious itch may carry unexpected meaning: the scalp. Your scalp is naturally sensitive, and an occasional itch might not raise concern. Maybe it's a new shampoo, dry weather, or even a bit of stress. But when the itching is relentless, localized, and resistant to change, it could be something far more serious. For Henry, a 71-year-old retired mechanic from a rural town in Texas, it began with an itch behind his ears. "It felt like something was crawling under my skin, deep and constant," he explained during a clinic visit. "I'd scratch until my scalp felt raw, but the itch never let up." Like many, Henry tried to solve the problem on his own. He cycled through 5 different shampoos, convinced it must be dandruff, dryness, or perhaps a mild allergic reaction. Cancer never even crossed his mind, but the itch didn't fade. After several weeks, and at his wife's insistence, Henry finally saw his doctor. A routine blood test revealed an abnormality. His white blood cell count was significantly elevated. Additional testing, including a bone marrow biopsy, confirmed the diagnosis: leukemia, a cancer of the blood and bone marrow. According to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, about 15% of people diagnosed with leukemia report experiencing persistent scalp itching as one of their earliest symptoms. It's a subtle sign, one that often goes unnoticed or misinterpreted. This type of scalp itching can appear even before more recognizable systemic symptoms emerge, like frequent infections, easy bruising, or overwhelming fatigue. What causes it? In leukemia, the body begins producing an excessive amount of abnormal white blood cells. These cells release inflammatory chemicals that irritate the scalp's highly sensitive nerve endings, creating a discomfort that feels far more intense than common surface-level itching. Unlike typical scalp issues such as dandruff, psoriasis, or contact dermatitis, leukemia. Related itching goes much deeper. It doesn't respond to medicated shampoos, antihistamines, or even corticosteroid creams. The discomfort feels embedded, almost unreachable, and it persists no matter what remedies are tried. This kind of itching is often confined to specific spots: behind the ears, near the base of the skull, or across the crown of the head. It's not widespread, but it lingers stubbornly. And what makes it more concerning is how long it can last. Weeks, sometimes even months, can go by without any relief at all. Henry's story is a powerful reminder of how easy it is to overlook something persistent when it doesn't seem urgent. "I thought it was just part of getting older," he said, shaking his head in reflection. If my wife hadn't pushed me to see the doctor, I probably would have waited until things got much worse. Oncologists emphasize that while an itchy scalp alone isn't enough to diagnose leukemia, its persistence, severity, and resistance to common treatments should raise concern, especially in older adults. When this type of itching is paired with other symptoms like recurring fevers, night sweats, swollen lymph nodes, or frequent infections, it becomes a warning sign that shouldn't be ignored. The first step toward diagnosis usually involves a complete blood count, CBC, to check white blood cell levels. If any abnormalities are found, doctors may proceed with more specialized tests such as flow cytometry, bone marrow aspiration, or advanced imaging scans to confirm a diagnosis and assess how far the disease has progressed. Fortunately, in Henry's case, his condition was caught early. That meant he could begin treatment right away, significantly increasing his chances of achieving remission. "I'm still here, and that's what counts," he said with a quiet, determined smile. For those dealing with similar symptoms, medical experts recommend taking a proactive approach. Pay close attention to the nature of the itch. Does it feel unusually deep, like it's coming from within the skin rather than the surface? Is it limited to one or two specific areas, rather than being widespread? And perhaps most importantly, has it continued despite using multiple treatments, from creams to shampoos to home remedies? If you find yourself answering yes to those questions, don't wait. It's time to talk to a healthcare provider. Sometimes, something as simple as a routine blood test can be the first step toward identifying a serious underlying condition like leukemia. It's far better to investigate early than to live with regret later. If you're still watching this video and these lessons are resonating with you, I'd love to know. Please comment the number 2 below. It tells me you're still here with me, and I appreciate your time more than you know. Now let's talk about the fourth area, chest or breast itching, and the potential warning it may hold for inflammatory breast cancer. For Linda, a 70-year-old retired school teacher and passionate gardener, the faint itch she noticed on her left breast didn't seem like a big deal at first. She assumed it was from a new bra that wasn't quite broken in, or maybe her skin was just reacting to the dry winter air. It felt subtle, almost like a tickling sensation deep beneath the skin, she shared during a conversation with her oncologist. In the beginning, she ignored it, like so many of us might, thinking it would pass. But over the following 4 months, the itch intensified. Then came the changes that couldn't be dismissed. The skin on her breast began to thicken, turning slightly red, and slowly took on the appearance of an orange peel. It wasn't just dry or irritated anymore. It looked and felt noticeably different. That was when she decided to seek medical help. A full diagnostic workup was done, including a mammogram, an ultrasound, and eventually a biopsy. The results were both unexpected and alarming: inflammatory breast cancer, or IBC. This rare but aggressive form of breast cancer accounts for only 1 to 5% of all breast cancer cases, according to the National Cancer Institute. And unlike the more familiar types of breast cancer, IBC often doesn't form a distinct lump. That's part of what makes it so dangerous. It presents differently and can be harder to detect early. What makes inflammatory breast cancer even more difficult to detect is that it often develops without a noticeable lump. That means regular self-exams, or even standard mammograms, may not catch it in the early stages. According to the American Cancer Society, roughly 65% of patients diagnosed with IBC report experiencing persistent breast itching as one of the very first symptoms. This type of itching is not superficial. It stems from cancer cells invading and blocking the lymph vessels within the breast. That blockage creates localized inflammation, which in turn irritates nearby nerves under the skin. The result? A deep, stubborn itch that doesn't go away with typical solutions like moisturizers, antihistamines, or switching personal care products. No matter what you try, the sensation lingers, nagging and uncomfortable. As the condition progresses, other symptoms may begin to show. These can include noticeable swelling in one breast, a sensation of warmth or heaviness, and skin texture changes such as dimpling, thickening, or even inverted nipples. These are all red flags that shouldn't be ignored. And while breast cancer is most commonly associated with women, it's important to remember that men are not exempt. In fact, the National Cancer Institute reports that 1% of all breast cancer cases occur in men. Among those, approximately 45% report chest itching as an early warning symptom, often accompanied by changes in the skin or discharge from the nipple. Whether it's in women or men, persistent itching in one breast or area of the chest, especially when it's localized and lasts for several weeks, should not be brushed aside. If it's accompanied by visible skin changes, the urgency is even greater. Diagnostic imaging tools, such as MRIs and PET scans, along with skin biopsies, can help confirm inflammatory breast cancer. And with a cancer this aggressive, one that spreads quickly to lymph nodes and distant organs, early detection is absolutely critical. If you've noticed any of these signs, don't wait. Book a consultation with your healthcare provider, ideally someone who specializes in breast health. Bring up your concerns, ask questions, and advocate for the testing you need. It could make all the difference. Itching in sensitive areas like the anus or genitals can feel uncomfortable to talk about, sometimes even taboo. But silence can be dangerous. Ignoring these symptoms, no matter how personal they may feel, can have serious consequences. Thomas, a 77-year-old retired electrician and grandfather of 5, learned this lesson the hard way. For over a year, he endured relentless anal itching. At first, he assumed it was just hemorrhoids, a common issue among older adults. "I tried every over-the-counter cream," he recalled during a support group meeting. "I changed my soaps, switched to fragrance-free laundry detergent, even adjusted my diet with more fiber to improve digestion, but the itching never let up." Ashamed and uncomfortable, Thomas kept the issue to himself. He avoided bringing it up with his doctor, thinking it was too embarrassing. But over time, the discomfort worsened. The itching became unbearable, and he began noticing occasional blood in his stool. That's when he finally sought medical help. A series of diagnostic tests, including a colonoscopy and a biopsy, revealed a diagnosis that shook him: anal cancer. Though rare, anal cancer is often linked to the human papillomavirus, HPV. According to the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, approximately 70% of individuals diagnosed with anal cancer report persistent itching as one of their earliest symptoms, well before more obvious signs like bleeding, pain, or a noticeable lump appear. The same caution applies to women. Vulvar cancer, a malignancy that affects the external female genitalia, can also begin with persistent itching. According to data from the Gynecologic Oncology Group, around 55% of postmenopausal women with vulvar cancer report itching as an early symptom. Patricia, a 68-year-old retired nurse, shared her experience as a warning to others. She ignored her genital itching for nearly 8 months, believing it was just a side effect of menopause or irritation from wearing tight clothing. "I felt too ashamed to mention it even to my gynecologist," she admitted. By the time she finally sought medical evaluation, her cancer had already progressed and required aggressive treatment, including extensive surgery and radiation, a delay she wishes she could take back. While both anal and vulvar cancers are uncommon, they are highly treatable when detected early. That's why persistent itching in these areas, especially when it worsens at night, feels deep or burning, or is paired with other changes like redness, sores, thickened skin, unusual discharge, or pain, should never be ignored. Unfortunately, stigma and embarrassment often prevent people from speaking up, but that silence can lead to dangerous delays. The truth is, early detection can dramatically improve survival rates. The American Society of Clinical Oncology stresses the importance of recognizing these early symptoms, especially those linked to HPV, to allow for timely diagnosis and treatment. Cancers related to HPV, including anal and vulvar cancers, are on the rise, especially among older adults with a history of HPV exposure. This trend makes it even more important to recognize early signs and act without delay. If you're experiencing symptoms in these sensitive areas, the best course of action is to overcome hesitation and consult a qualified healthcare provider. For anal-related symptoms, that might mean seeing a gastroenterologist. For vulvar symptoms, a gynecologist is the most appropriate specialist. And when you do speak with your doctor, be as honest and specific as possible. Sharing details about your symptoms, even if they feel uncomfortable, can make a crucial difference. It helps guide the right diagnostic approach, whether through biopsies, HPV testing, or advanced imaging. If you're still with me and finding these insights helpful, please comment the number 3 below. Your time matters, and your engagement lets me know this message is reaching the people who need it most. Now, let's talk about another area where unexpected itching might signal something serious: the hands and feet. For William, a 73-year-old retired mechanic and lifelong smoker, the itching started on his palms. At first, it didn't seem like anything to worry about. He thought it was probably caused by frequent exposure to dish soap, harsh cleaning products, or simply dry skin. "I kept applying heavy-duty hand creams," he told his pulmonologist, "but nothing worked. Then the itching spread to the soles of my feet and it felt different, deeper, almost like a tingling burn beneath the skin." He brushed it off for a while, but months later, when he developed a persistent cough and shortness of breath, he finally went in for a chest X-ray. That was followed by a CT scan, which delivered a diagnosis he hadn't expected: lung cancer. At first, the connection between the itching in his hands and feet and his cancer diagnosis didn't seem obvious. But growing research suggests there's more to it than coincidence. According to the American Association for Cancer Research, around 25% of patients diagnosed with visceral cancers, those affecting internal organs like the lungs, stomach, colon, or pancreas, experience persistent itching in the extremities as an early symptom. Itching in the hands and feet may seem like a minor issue at first glance, but for some individuals, especially those with internal cancers, it can be one of the earliest red flags. This condition is known as paraneoplastic neuropathy, and it occurs when cancer cells begin to release toxins or trigger an abnormal immune response that affects the peripheral nervous system. The result? A deep, uncomfortable sensation in the extremities that feels unlike anything typical. Many patients describe the itch as burning, tingling, or almost electrical in nature, something that seems to originate from beneath the skin rather than on the surface. This unusual sensation may be accompanied by other neurological symptoms, including numbness, weakness, or that familiar pins and needles feeling that doesn't go away. In some cases, people also experience broader systemic symptoms, such as unexplained fatigue, significant weight loss, night sweats, or noticeable changes in appetite. These symptoms may seem unrelated at first, but taken together, they can point to a more serious underlying issue. William's story serves as a critical reminder of just how important it is to pay attention to subtle changes, especially for seniors with known risk factors like long-term smoking, occupational exposure to toxins such as asbestos or industrial chemicals, or a family history of cancer. According to the American Lung Association, lung cancer is often diagnosed in its later stages, largely because the early signs are vague and easy to miss. That's why something as seemingly harmless as persistent hand and foot itching shouldn't be ignored. If you're experiencing deep, ongoing itching in your palms or soles, especially if the sensation is bilateral, on both sides, doesn't respond to treatment, or is paired with other symptoms, it's time to consult a healthcare provider. Diagnostic steps may include blood tests to check for tumor markers, nerve conduction studies to evaluate nerve function, or imaging such as a CT scan or PET scan to search for underlying malignancies. You don't need a medical degree to protect your health. What you do need is the willingness to listen to your body. By staying alert, asking the right questions, and acting early, You can identify subtle warning signs before they grow into something much more serious. And to help you stay vigilant, here are 5 practical, step-by-step, at-home self-checks you can do starting today. Simple actions that could make a life-changing difference. This becomes especially important if you're over 60, a time when the body's immune responses can be more subdued and early symptoms of serious illness may not be as obvious. That's where the 3-week rule comes into play. According to the World Health Organization, any itch that lingers in the same spot for more than 3 weeks deserves medical evaluation. This specific time frame serves as a key threshold, particularly for older adults, because prolonged itching may be the body's way of quietly signaling something deeper. One of the most helpful things you can do is to keep a symptom journal. Track when the itch began, how long it lasts, and whether it changes in intensity over time. This kind of detailed information can help your doctor assess the situation more accurately and guide the next steps in your care. Then there's the cream test. If over-the-counter remedies, like moisturizers, hydrocortisone creams, or antihistamines, fail to bring relief after 7 to 10 days, it's time to reconsider the cause. Skin conditions, such as eczema or dryness, usually respond to basic treatments fairly quickly. So when nothing works, it becomes a red flag. This resistance often indicates something more systemic, including possible underlying cancers, and should not be brushed off. Another vital step is symptom watch. Cancer rarely announces itself with just one symptom. It often brings along a mix of warning signs that may seem unrelated at first glance. The Oncology Nursing Society recommends looking out for subtle yet significant changes, like unexplained fatigue that lasts more than 2 weeks, unintentional weight loss of more than 5% of your body weight over 6 months, night sweats, a persistent cough, or changes in bowel and bladder habits. While these may not seem connected to skin irritation, they often appear alongside more visible symptoms. Make sure to write these down and share them with your doctor. Even the smallest detail could help guide the right diagnostic tests. Finally, there's the pattern check. What is the itch actually like? Is it worse at night, making it hard to sleep? Is it focused in one particular area, like a single calf or one breast? Or does it move around? Does it feel surface level? Or does it come from deeper beneath the skin? Persistent itching that's localized, worsens at night, or feels deep rather than superficial is more likely to be tied to an internal issue rather than something temporary like dry skin. Using a notebook or even a simple app, document these patterns consistently. Over time, they may reveal trends that could be crucial in catching a serious health issue before it progresses. Also, don't overlook the importance of your family history. According to the National Genetics Institute, individuals with a family history of cancer, particularly breast, colorectal, lung, lymphoma, or pancreatic cancers, are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop cancer themselves. If you know cancer runs in your family, you need to be extra vigilant. Persistent, unexplained itching might not seem like a big deal at first, but in the context of genetic risk, it becomes far more significant. Be sure to talk with your doctor openly about your family history. Ask them how your genetic background could influence your symptoms. This conversation can help shape your risk profile and guide which screenings are most appropriate for you. When you visit a healthcare provider, be as detailed as possible. Describe not only where the itching occurs, but when it started, how intense it feels, whether it follows any patterns, like getting worse at night or during specific activities, and whether it's accompanied by other issues, such as fatigue, night sweats, or weight loss. The more information you provide, the better equipped your provider will be to determine the next steps. Don't hesitate to request targeted tests based on the specific area of concern. For example, if the itch is in your breast, a mammogram might be appropriate. If it's anal, a colonoscopy could be necessary. If it's in your hands or feet, imaging studies like CT scans could provide valuable insight. Tailoring diagnostic steps to your symptoms gives you the best chance of catching something early. And here's why that matters. According to global health data from the World Health Organization, early cancer detection can raise treatment success rates to more than 85%. On the flip side, delayed action can reduce survival rates by 50% or more. That's a staggering difference, one that underscores just how powerful early action can be. After 35 years as a registered nurse, I've seen both sides of that story. I've seen the incredible outcomes that come from listening to your body and seeking help early, and I've seen the heartbreak that comes from waiting too long. I remember Margaret, a 64-year-old librarian, whose persistent itching in her calves led to a lymphoma diagnosis. She didn't ignore the signs. She acted early. And today, she's cancer-free. She spends her days dancing with her grandchildren and tending the rose garden she loves so much. Then there's Susan, a 71-year-old church. One church volunteer began experiencing a persistent itch on her lower back that simply wouldn't go away. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a small annoyance, but instead of ignoring it, she made the choice to see her doctor. That one decision led to the early detection of pancreatic cancer, caught soon enough for surgical intervention. Today, she's thriving. She's back to baking her famous pecan pies for the weekly church gatherings and spending precious, uninterrupted time with her loved ones. But not all stories end this way. I've also sat with families in hospital rooms, in moments heavy with silence, where hope came too late. I've held hands, heard the quiet words of regret, and listened to patients wonder aloud if things might have been different, if only they had acted sooner. If only they hadn't brushed off that nagging symptom. If only they had known what their body was trying to say. Your body is always speaking to you, and persistent itching, especially in areas like the calves, back, scalp, chest, genitals, or hands and feet, can be one of the ways it sounds the alarm. For those over 60, these signs matter even more. As we age, the risks of developing cancer increase, and so does the complexity of treating it. Don't let fear, shame, or the assumption that it's just aging hold you back. Don't dismiss a symptom simply because it feels minor or inconvenient. Sometimes, the smallest signals carry the biggest warnings. A single doctor's visit, a few targeted tests, or an honest conversation could make the difference between early treatment and an unexpected battle you weren't prepared for. You are not just another statistic. You are a parent, a grandparent, a friend, a pillar in someone's life. Your presence matters. Your love, your laughter, your wisdom. That lingering itch might just be your body fighting for your attention, asking for care before it's too late. So listen. Take action. And if this message has touched you, please pass it on to someone you care about. It might be the quiet nudge that changes everything for them. Wishing you good health, lasting happiness, and deep peace. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Healthy Aging Blueprint, for more life-saving insights and empowering wellness tips.